Is this recording? Okay. Okay, hello everybody. I hope this is working because I'm not entirely sure. Today we're talking about the problem of induction and will the future be like the past. These are, for the next couple of checklists, we're going to have 2 essays per checklist. So for this one, we're going to use Bertrand Russell's essay, The Problem of Induction, for steps 1 through 4. And Frederick Will's, Will the Future Be Like the Past, for the flaw. Now, it's a really short essay, but you need to know what's in the essay. So we're asking, can you use the past to prove the future? That's our question, all right, for step 1. For step 2, he uses a term called past futures. A past future is just something that was in the future, but once it happens, it becomes the past, so we now call it a past future. Bertrand Russell uses the term to show a disconnection between the past and the future. All right. Will is going to do something different. But let's stay in order. So our question for step 1 is ask a philosophical question. Can you use the past to prove the future? Step 2, we've defined past future. Step 3, Russell is going to say no. You can't use the past to prove the future. And when I say prove, I mean 100% prove. Okay? And 4, supporting argument. What is this supporting argument? He has 2. The first supporting argument I'm going to call the time argument. And it's pretty straightforward. If I want to prove something about markers, I need samples of markers. If I want to prove something about the future, I need samples of the future. But can I ever get samples of the future? No. Because the moment I say it, it's the past. You can never actually get to the future because once you're there, it's a past future. And past futures are not good enough to prove the future, according to Russell. That's his time argument. Now, the next argument is related to the laws of nature, or the uniformity of nature. You could argue with Russell and say, okay, I will accept that I may not be able to prove that the chicken is not going to get its neck wrong. Or just because every morning I eat oatmeal, that tomorrow I'm going to eat oatmeal. But I can prove things that follows the law of nature. So what are the laws of nature? Things like gravity, rotation of bodies in space. So if we're talking about the sun rising tomorrow, it would follow the rotation of the bodies in space. So when scientifically we think about these laws of nature, we assume they're absolute. And if they're absolute, that means there are no exceptions. It's 100% guaranteed. And if it's 100% guaranteed, then we can prove the sun's going to rise tomorrow because it's based on law of nature, and that law of nature is absolute. Bertrand Russell is going to say, no, laws of nature are not absolute, so you cannot prove the sun's going to rise tomorrow without a doubt. The reason you can't prove it is because there could be exceptions to the law of nature, or there could be interruptions to the law of nature. An interruption would be something like a meteor hitting the Earth and knocks us out of space. Sun's going to rise tomorrow? No. There's been an interruption to the law of nature, the rotation of bodies in space. Hopefully that will not happen. Sorry, I have a cold, so I'm trying not to cough. All right. Now, what about the exception? What does he mean by the exception? Well, think about it. If gravity is a law of nature, and gravity says unsupported bodies fall. Unsupported body falls. Then think back to the time right before they invented the helium balloon. And all of a sudden you meet somebody and they say, hey, do you believe in gravity? You say, sure, yes, I believe in it. I can disprove it. And you're like, no, you can't. And they hold in front of them a red ball, and they're holding it. And they're like, when I take my hands away, according to the law of gravity, this ball will fall. And you say yes. And then they open their hands and the ball goes up. Did they just prove the law of gravity? Well, no, not exactly. had to kind of change the law of gravity and how it works. Originally it says unsupported bodies fall. If unsupported, it falls. Unless you're lighter than air. Helium, being lighter than air, rises. So, his whole argument here is that you can't use the laws of nature to prove, without a doubt, the future. Because there could be exceptions or interruptions to the laws of nature, and we won't know it. That would be step 4. Now, step 5, which is the will piece that says, will the future be like the past? He's going to say that Russell misunderstands time. And there's not a disconnection between the past and the future. That a term like the past future shows the connection between the past and the future, not the disconnection. So we can use samples of past futures as evidence of what will happen in the future. So if he says if Russell understood that time works like a conveyor belt, kind of like movement, as opposed to 2 static boxes that you can never go from one to the other, he would understand how this works. And that's in relation to the time argument. Now you could use the laws of nature to say, okay, Russell, sorry, sorry about that. 100 years ago, would we have known if a tornado was going to hit? And the answer is no. You wouldn't know. Today, would we know if a tornado is going to hit? And the answer is yes. Why? Because people created technology to understand the weather patterns, and they can monitor the weather patterns, and now they can inform us when a tornado is going to hit. Progress. Gotta love it. So, if that's the case, then obviously they're using past futures as samples of the future to create an understanding of the weather patterns, and obviously it's working because, as you can see, 100 years ago, we didn't know a tornado was going to hit. Today we do. And that would be Will's comeback to Russell. That would be step 5. Step 6. Respond to the flaw and uphold your original answer. Since these were written at different times, it's not actually in the essay. How would Bertrand Russell respond? Well, think about it. Even if Will is 100% correct, does that mean we can know without a doubt the sun's going to rise tomorrow? No, not unless we know all the exceptions and interruptions beforehand. And even though our science has come a long way, say in the last 100 years, we don't know it all yet. So the answer would still be no. You still can't prove the sun's going to rise tomorrow. And that is the problem of induction and will the future be like the past. And I hope you enjoyed the essays. This is in an area we call epistemology, the philosophical study of knowledge. And the upcoming essay is going to be another one by Bertrand Russell, who is a famous skeptic. And skeptics believe that you should always recognize that you could be wrong. That there's always a small possibility you could be wrong about everything you know. So the next question we're going to ask is, can you trust the evidence of your senses? So next week you're going to read both of those essays. And then the week after that you're going to watch a documentary on it, which is Current Understanding, and write an essay on which position you think is upheld. That's kind of, you can read the information on next week and the following week. I just thought I would tell you a little about it. I hope your semester is going well. Email me whenever you get a chance, and I will talk to you later. Bye.